Hello, welcome to the show. It's the Man Market Show, and I'm Charles Ward, your host. Now, what we're picking across the continent is that Ethiopia Airlines has seen a jump in its revenue by about 8%. Now, this has been attributed to an increase in passenger volumes, but also the additional new routes that the airlines has actually put or added onto its route network. Now, this is coming at a time when many airlines across the continent and globally are actually facing a tough time to stay in business. Now, we'll be revisiting that story in our subsequent shows. It is Man and Markets once again. Welcome. Whether it's about trade negotiations, asset acquisition, or tax-related matters, the services of a legal expert are very important for any business operation. However, in Uganda, many SMEs still find it hard to enlist the service of legal experts. Now, in this segment, we're trying to find out what steps are being taken by the Law Society or Fraternity to see that this gap is bridged.
From experience and what I've been seeing, the major challenges faced by entrepreneurs is issues to do with compliance with the various laws, the tax laws, things like KCCA, and this is majorly because most entrepreneurs who come up do not take time to study the legal environment, the legal framework, and what is required or what they should do before they even invest. So that's why you find that businesses that begin and they do not see their next, the next birthday, because either they fail to work well with the agencies like URA, they do not appreciate the tax regime, what they're supposed to pay, and other requirements. You find we have people who are employing more than 5 people. They've not complied with NSSF requirements. So before you know it, they are being taken to court. They are facing challenges and closure simply for failure to comply with the relevant regulations which are on our legal books. And as Ugandan society, what we're trying to do is conduct awareness sessions and sensitizations. We're being intentional in helping these people to do sensitizations so that they understand especially the available regulatory framework that should be followed even when someone is setting up a business, from the time of registering up to the time of running your business, what you should comply with, that you must do, the standards that you must uphold, so that you're able to operate or to even make better decisions when you're investing. Let these people seek legal counsel before they make any steps in business. For you, you don't have to wait. They say prevention is better than cure. Do not wait to be in trouble, then you come to seek services of a lawyer. At the time of inception, even when you're planning, even when you're... See, there's this notion that I can go on the internet and I read something and I do it myself. But you see, the information available on the internet is from all over. You might not know how genuine what you're reading is, and you make mistakes. So you seek guidance from a trained lawyer to help you and guide you on the steps to take. Also keep looking out for some of this information, especially from the various institutions. If you're dealing with a particular institution on any kind of trade, try to give it time and know the regulatory framework or the laws that are in that particular area. It might not be easy for you to read and understand everything, but at least give it some time, because at the end of the day, you're going to save yourself from falling into trouble. Then again, be compliant. Be compliant. I know that some people are going to come and tell you there are shortcuts. You see, if you dodge this tax like this, or if you do this, you're going to dodge. Or maybe you're importing items, you can use another direction, not the proper one. Because you see, non-compliance has long-term effects. That's why I've seen businesses at the end of the day that are being shut down, because they discover you've not been complying for so many years and it has accumulated. So you find the URA is demanding you more than the money you have in the business. I've seen people are being demanded 600 million, 300 million, but when you look at what he has available, the business is worth like 200 million. So at the end of the day, the only option is to close down. So be compliant, comply with the laws. If it is KCCA, comply with the terms of license. If you're going to develop, maybe an area that requires some kind of prior regulation, you do that. Because you've seen shops and all those being closed for not having licenses. Do not wait to reach there. You realize, like I said earlier, most people fail to do business because our taxes are so high, especially for local entrepreneurs. We get foreigners here, foreign investors, they reach here, they're given tax holidays. Someone is given a tax holiday of 5 years, They work after 5 years, they go back, they're taking back the money. But our locals, our people who are based here trying to invest are not given that opportunity. So for me, the biggest reforms should be in the tax regime. The taxes are so high for any other ordinary person to manage or to even afford to run business. So if I were to look at the reform, it should be protection of of these businessmen, of these entrepreneurs. Of course, we also need to have reforms in consumer protection, because there are people who come on the market. We have, let's say, a local person producing a commodity. You find other, maybe Chinese, bringing commodities on the market, and they are not even up to quality. By the competition, you cannot compete. The other person is selling at a low price. It's the same commodity, same item. For you, because you want to keep afloat, you're selling at the actual price. Everyone is going to run. I'll give you an example of recently when they were setting up that, was it Chinatown? You saw how much they were selling items at and how they were advertising. So we need to have that kind of protection. You're not only protecting consumers, but also you're empowering the other business community. You need to have fair competition in the market, because there has to be that regulatory framework that this is the minimum you can go at, or this is the maximum. Because if someone is telling you that for them they say their item at 10,000 and for yours is at 100,000, and you know the actual amount is 100,000, but because the other one is either counterfeit or because it doesn't reach the standard, it is allowed to be on the market, naturally Africans, Ugandans and Africans will go for a cheaper option. So in the regulatory framework, we need to have, we need to set standards of to improve competition, fair competition. Because again, why other business people fall out, why they fail to make it, is because of that kind of unfair competition. Probably the other person has a tax holiday, is not paying tax, the prices are going to be different. Or maybe because the products they have on the market do not reach the standard, the counterfeit, they will sell at a lower price. So the moment we have those reforms or those policies in place, I believe it can be a leveled ground to improve, or to support and promote our entrepreneurs especially. I like focusing on the local entrepreneur. But even then, even if it's a foreign entrepreneur, we also need to have reforms generally in other laws. You realize some people have a challenge investing here because of some of the policies we have, which are so stringent. Some of the laws we have, where they have a lot of demands they want from these people. The requirements are so many that by the time you finish the checklist, you realize that I can't do business here. So we need to make it so simple and so easy. Also, we need to now go towards digitalization, digital markets. That's where we're headed. People are using AI. Can you imagine sometimes when I'm buying something online here, you find online it is cheaper. I can order and I get an item. They deliver it at my doorstep, much cheaper than me moving to a shop nearby and I get it. So we need to have also a regulatory framework in that area, because we are moving into the digital era and AI, digital markets, and not just by the marketing, but also conducting business of buying and selling so many other items. So we need to have also regulation in that area.
Now, if you go to any East African country, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, Rwanda, you find that the message is the same, that East Africa needs to industrialize if it is to lift its people out of poverty, or broadly speaking, if it is to transform its economies. However, there are still many challenges, and some have referred to them as self-inflicted wounds of non-tariff barriers. Now, in this segment, we're speaking to experts that attended a regional conference on seeing how industrialization across this region can be attained.
The Regional Industrialization Conference is our second conference in a row. We had the first one last year, and we were looking at what are those challenges that are impeding industrial growth. We know that both the Uganda government and the governments in the neighborhood are pushing for an industrialization agenda. However, the challenge is that as they set up these industries, there are so many bottlenecks, what in economics they call non-tariff barriers. Those things that impede or slow down or even kill the growth of industry. It's important to establish that, number one, industries create jobs. create opportunities. Industries pay taxes. They also consume things that are produced at the primary level. And this conference in particular is looking at agro-industrialization. Our president and the government have been pushing for an agro-industrialization agenda to drive exports, to increase income, but also to ensure that the countryside where most of this agriculture is practiced can have a market for their goods. But for us to do that, we have to trade with our neighbors. But in trading with our neighbors, we encounter so many barriers. For example, when our industries produce something and it is due for export, we get all sorts of blockages. And so therefore, this conference is here, first to bring both government and private sector in the same room so that we talk. And not just the private sector and government, but we have also brought in the East African community, which essentially is the referee of how we do business in the region.
As a customs union, there are protocols and agreements that guide the trade within ourselves, and the non-tariff barriers that keep coming up largely are to do with infrastructure development, taxes, and harmonization of standards. And all these authorities, the heads of states, the ministers are engaging time and again to resolve them. Of course, as we are developing in business and trade, some keep coming up, but there are efforts to make sure that we resolve them. And you have seen the recent engagements between the heads of states of Uganda and Kenya. That's the purpose, that we keep engaging, resolve some as we continue negotiations.
As a region, it is incumbent on us to ensure that we address our product basket, that we can export to the rest of Africa and to the rest of the globe. However, we have got a lot of challenges here and there. If we are to achieve our goal, we have got to, of course, to address some of those impediments. The impediments so far in the discussion, that is what is coming up, is investment in joint infrastructure for the region to ensure that movement of factors of production and movement of goods is equally facilitated in record time, so that we do not have delays on either poles, the raw material poles or the market poles. So the other issue that is coming up is, of course, industrialization means capital investment. As a region, how do we mobilize resources? How do we get financing? The discussion in the room is, how do we have East African Development Bank recapitalized to the level that it facilitates industrialization in the region? How do we as a region get what you would call joint FDI, joint foreign direct investment attraction schemes, so that we do not have to see piecemeal. One investor is being approached in the morning by Kenya, in the afternoon is approached by Uganda, in the night is approached by Rwanda. That is lack of harmony.